Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedules to join us today. My name is Luke Labby. I'm the president of People's Choice Credit Union and chair of the Maine Credit Union League's Social Responsibility Committee. I would like to welcome you to the annual Maine Credit Union Campaign for Ending Hunger celebration. I know many of you look forward to this event each year as we honor the collaborative efforts made by our credit union network throughout the state of Maine to combat hunger. Thanks to your work and support of our members, we are making a significant impact and ensuring our neighbors in need have access to nutritious meals. While I wish we were all together celebrating in person over lunch and me taking one of my worst selfies ever with Dr. Shaw, I appreciate you joining us online today. I also realize that many of you are on your lunch breaks right now, so please feel free to eat and enjoy the presentation. You all have donated time, money, other resources to support this important initiative this year, which began back in 1990.
Yeah.
Your efforts have made a difference in the lives of many Mainers, and especially throughout our lingering pandemic. Our campaign has supported critical organizations like Good Shepherd Food Bank, Full Plates, Full Potential, schools, food pantries across the state, and local meal sites to get food into the hands of those who need it. Although 2021 proved to be another challenging year with COVID-19, lingering and still impacting our daily lives and limiting our branch member contact, I'm incredibly proud of what we've accomplished, and I think you will too. I don't want to give too much away, but I think you'll be pleased with the final fundraising results, which will be announced later in this program. At this time, I'd like to turn the program over to Todd Mason, President, CEO of Maine Credit Union League, to say a few words and introduce our special guest speaker.
Thank you, Luke, and thank you for all of your efforts personally, to the committee, and of course from your credit union for this critically important effort. And just a quick housekeeping: if you haven't put yourself on mute yet, please do. So I'm going to get into my remarks. I will try to make them brief, but this is so exciting. I love this event because we get to celebrate all the great work that we've done over the past year. So you don't want to rush through it because you want to savor every moment, right? But despite all the challenges that that the pandemic has presented, we have done just a phenomenal job in being a steadfast resource and advocate in the fight to end hunger in our state. Currently, unfortunately, over 11.4% of our state faces food insecurity in some form, a rate higher than the national average. But thanks to you and your credit union colleagues, hungry Mainers in your community are finding the help they need to get through the campaign for ending hunger. And I truly cannot thank you enough. If you go to the next slide, I won't read all the names, but just give you a snapshot of all the folks that are involved in our social responsibility committee, helping guide our efforts, and just helping pick up the shovel and get the work done. And I can't thank all of them enough. And of course, Luke for chairing this important committee. But before I introduce our guest speaker, I'd like to take a moment to personally recognize Luke, which I've been doing and will continue to do, and all the work that the committee has been doing. We'll share some of the highlights as of course we will a little bit later in the program, from all the great things that we've done this year. But I know before we get to that, though, we got to let Dr. Shaw and give his speech. So excited to have him be part of it. Dr. Shaw has become a bit of a celebrity here in Maine. I know you know his name. I know you know his face. He's been such a calm and reassuring voice in a time of trouble, frankly. It's been great to have him here. So he's become a bit of a celebrity in Maine since the beginning of the pandemic. Throughout his exceptional leadership, he has helped our state navigate this public health crisis, which remains ongoing. We recognize how busy he is and are deeply appreciative for his willingness to carve out time out of his busy schedule, not only to talk to us about the pandemic and what these 2 years have been like for him, but also speak about public health and how hunger go hand in hand. Before I turn it over to Dr. Shaw, I'd like to share with you some additional background on him and his incredible career. Since 2019, Dr. Shaw has served as the director of Maine's Center for Disease Control and Prevention. In this role, he leads Maine's response to the current coronavirus pandemic with extensive science-informed communication and outreach to communities. Previously, Dr. Shaw served as a director and CEO of the Illinois Department of Health from January 2015 to February 2019. His international work includes serving as an economist for the government of Cambodia from 2002 to 2004. That's amazing. Dr. Shaw is a graduate of the University of Chicago, having received a Doctor of Law and a Doctor of Medicine degrees in 2007 and 2008, respectively. He is a recipient of the Paul and Daisy Soros Fellowship for New Americans. He is a rock star. Dr. Shaw, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome you up to give your comments, and we'll all back off camera and let you go. Thank you so much.
Well, gosh, thank you so much, Todd. And thank you all for the really kind invitation to be with you. It is such an honor to join everyone, especially in celebration of a fundraising effort to talk about the very thing I want to discuss today, which is the lingering, enduring concerns that we have around food insecurity and hunger across the state. So it is such a pleasure to be with you, and I'm very, very grateful for the invitation. Todd mentioned that earlier in my career, 20 years ago, I got my start as a young person working in Southeast Asia. And one of the mysteries that has stuck with me through then is how could it be that in a fundamentally agricultural setting, at that time, Southeast Asia, the small country of Cambodia, 99% of the people there were farmers or fishermen. How could it be that in such a fundamentally agricultural part of the world, people could still go hungry? How could it be that a farmer could starve? And that mystery had always stuck with me. And when I moved back to Chicago and took on a role with the state of Illinois, as I traveled throughout Southern Illinois, also a predominantly, overwhelmingly agricultural part of the country, I saw the same thing with farmers having difficulty accessing food. And now in Maine as well, also a predominantly agricultural state, we too have concerns around food insecurity and hunger. And what you realize as you start diving into these things that food insecurity and hunger are fundamentally public health challenges in really not significantly different ways from the challenges that we're all accustomed to hearing about in public health. They affect all strata of society, and the impacts are both immediate as well as long-term. Now, COVID did not erase the problem of hunger whatsoever. And for many people in Maine, it exacerbated it. Across our state, food insecurity remains a significant concern. Depending on which survey you take a look at, anywhere between 11.5% and 14% of all the households in Maine are considered food insecure. And a lot of that data is actually from 2020 onward. So it actually incorporates some of the pandemic. Now, these numbers, the percentage of households that are hungry, has actually declined over previous years, which is undoubtedly a good thing. But that decline, as any statistic might, actually masks a few trends that went the other way that are of concern. For example, households with children saw an increase in food security throughout 2020. And the impact of hunger on children is particularly pernicious. Similarly, communities of color saw their rates of hunger in Maine increase over the past few years rather than decrease. The other trend that this obscures is that the impact of the pandemic in particular on hunger was somewhat muted because of policy efforts to increase supports for those who are at the highest risk for hunger. Things like at the federal level, increasing the volume of SNAP benefits, as well as here in Maine, expanding the availability of meals in schools. All of those things prevented large numbers of people from going hungry. And so even though our numbers look like they might be getting better, there are trends there that are concerning. And we have to keep in mind that the numbers didn't get worse, but that's because of the extraordinary efforts that we put into place. Now, I don't have to tell you all who have worked on this issue what the impact of hunger is. Food insecure households are much more likely to be in poor health. And in a statistic that should surprise absolutely zero people, hungry children don't do well in school. Now, I'm proud that Maine has made progress. Not long ago, Governor Mills signed legislation making Maine the second state in the country, only the second state in the country, to make school meals universal for all children. No more forms, no more paperwork, no more disadvantaged members of communities being stigmatized, just kids being able to get food. But at the same time, there are challenges that are on the horizon. Our food system is becoming a lot more efficient and decreasing the amount of food waste, which is a great thing. Make no mistake. That it means that a lot of our partners on the ground who are doing the work of keeping Mainers away from hunger have to be more creative in ways that they identify food sources. For example, there's less waste at the grocery store chain level, and thus there are fewer donations of soon to be expiring food that are coming in to food banks and food pantries. Throughout the pandemic, the challenges that each of us has faced are far more magnified for those who are already at the margins. For those who are struggling, the pandemic may have pushed them just far enough to now make their household hungry and food insecure. Now, as large as the response to these concerns at the federal and state level has been, it's not kept pace with the need. And in response to that need, charitable food programs emerged in the early 80s.
To go back down.
Yeah, I don't know how either. I just had that member in there. I couldn't hear everything.
So the charitable model relies on food banks to source large volumes of food, mostly donated, and then distribute that food to community-based programs, mainly food pantries, which give food directly to insecure and hungry people in their own communities. Here in Maine, we are lucky to have organizations like Good Shepherd Food Bank that help fill this gap in really critical ways. Their network involves more than 250 food pantries, 88 healthcare programs, and over 125 school-based pantries. This is critically important work, and it is you, our neighbors, who help keep these programs going. So I'd like to take a moment to thank you and congratulate each and every one of you as representatives of credit unions for coming together across Maine, virtually today, but hopefully in the not too distant future, back in person, to recognize and celebrate the significant contributions that Maine credit unions made throughout 2021 to fight hunger. Now, I've been lucky enough to get a glimpse at what those numbers are, and I will not reveal them. But what I will say is that when I saw those numbers, they made me incredibly proud to be a Mainer. And I want each and every one of you to feel that same way, to feel pride that each and every one of you has done a part as a neighbor to help one of your other neighbors in need. The problem of hunger is one that is not going away soon, unfortunately, but it's one that, because we are organized and because we take this community-driven approach, we can start solving one person at a time. So Todd, thank you so much. And to all of you, thank you for the invitation to join you. I've got a couple of minutes. And so Todd, I'll turn things back over to you. Happy to chat about anything that is on people's minds.
Yeah, this is Dr. Shaw. Thank you so much. This was an unexpected but wonderful surprise that we'd have a couple extra minutes with you. If anyone has some questions, please chime in. So we got one from Luke. When do we get back to normal? I think it's probably on everybody's mind.
It's definitely on everyone's mind. No one wants to. No, each and every one of us wants to get back to the life that we all knew in 2019. We're not there yet. We're still seeing significant numbers of people in Maine who are in the hospital, who are still getting sick. We're making a lot of progress toward getting there, but I don't know that we're there quite yet. First of all, it's kind of important to just talk about and think about for each of us what getting back to normal looks like, because after all, it was normal that got us here. So what's going to be different about this post-surge lifestyle that we're all going to have to contend with? Some of it is at the international level, the national level, but even here in Maine, what is it going to look like? Now, then the big question though is when. Well, even though things are still challenging, they are getting better every day. And so I suspect that things will start looking a lot more normal. Families getting together, people feeling more open and safe to go out and meet up with their friends and things of that nature. I suspect every week from now, we'll get a little bit closer to that. But Luke, your question also sort of supposes that there's a switch on the wall somewhere and we flip that switch and all of a sudden we're back to normal. But as we all know, that's not the case. Pandemics don't end with a bang or the flipping of a switch. They end gradually. And so I think what we're going to see is every week, people feeling more and more comfortable to go back out there and get back to the lives that they had before.
Thank you so much. Another question is, one of the things that we have been pivoting a little bit is thinking about our ending hunger efforts from credit unions, is not just as a campaign to raise money, and that is super important. Making sure people have enough to eat costs money, and getting those back to Good Shepherd Food Bank, Full Plates, Full Potential, and food banks, food pantries all over the state is super important. But we've also been thinking about ways that credit unions can help end hunger as an outcome. Can you speak to that? Because it's more than just not having enough food that causes hunger, but maybe some of the things that you talked a little bit about hunger affecting childhood health. But any perspective on, like, how can we end this as an outcome versus just the dollars?
Yeah, that is such a good question. And that's why in my mind, Todd, when we think about hunger, it's useful to apply the framework or the lens of public health. I don't mean to make that an academic point. I guess really all we're really saying is, boy, wouldn't it be great if we could prevent people from being hungry in the first place, rather than just helping them out when they are in need. Boy, wouldn't that be a great thing. I see that Kristen is on. I mean, to put it somewhat differently, boy, wouldn't it be great if we could put Kristen out of business? Right? I mean, that's I think fundamentally what you're hinting at. And so that gets to what the root causes of food insecurity and hunger are. And unfortunately, there's not a straight line between one cause and one outcome. There are so many causes, particularly right now, be it a high cost of living, jobs that don't pay as much, inflation, making it even harder to buy staples, on top of other areas of lifestyle of our lives that are themselves getting more expensive, be it housing and other things, competing for the limited dollars that people have. I think it's appropriate to say, and certainly it was my experience when I was in Southeast Asia much earlier in my career, that food insecurity is effectively the way that poverty looks in practice. And so if we want to really think about the root causes and try to put good people like Kristen out of business, the way to do that is to just tackle poverty. That's really what's going on there. And that's something we all have to commit ourselves to.
Thank you so much for those comments. So I got a question in from Shauna, and she's going to test my ability to move my mouth this morning. So how do you maintain your equanimity and patience in our current environment with so much conflict and bad information? Going back to COVID a little bit for a minute.
Well, that's I definitely appreciate that question. And there are two ways that I go about it. One is maybe a bit more politically motivated than the other, but the first is that the stakes right now are really high, and that's one reason I try to dedicate myself toward the work that I do and trying to keep an even-keeled approach to it, because there's a lot on the line. We're literally talking about information that could be the difference between somebody going to get vaccinated or deciding not to. So it's important to take it seriously. Now, as I hope people know, I don't always take things seriously. I'm not one of these people who believes that because there are bad things happening in the world that no one should be happy or no one should try to tell a joke. You can't go about your life that way. If you did, not a single person on this planet would ever smile. So I don't believe that we need to take ourselves too seriously, but I don't think we should try to be flippant, or in many cases, I don't think it's appropriate to lose one's temper. In fact, I never think it's appropriate for someone to lose their temper. And that's because the importance of what we're talking about really matters. And when those who I am trying to convince see me or somebody lose their temper, it immediately undercuts what they're saying. It doesn't matter what the person is saying, but when the person saying it is hot-headed, intemperate, and not in control of what's going on, their message is completely lost. It's obscured by the fact that they're a hothead. And that is what I try to keep in mind, that if I lose it, then no matter what I've said will completely get lost. The other thing is that it's also important to note that in this day and age, that's what a lot of people are looking for. I sort of think of it as the Formula One theory of public communications. That is to say, a lot of people watch the Indy 500 and the Formula One, not for the laps, but for the accidents. And I think in this day and age, a lot of people listen to public figures, no matter who they are, not for what they're saying, but to try to catch them in something. In this case, someone being intemperate. And again, that's a symptom of a broader malaise. But I always try to keep in mind that the slightest hint of me being disrespectful will feed into a narrative that sadly a lot of folks have out there. So, but more than that, it's really because right now, accurate information is difficult to come by, and I want to try to present that in a neutral way.
I so much appreciate that, and we do need civility and calm and patience. And a related question that came up, or not even a question, but I think it turns into a question, and it's again from Luke and Dr. Fauci, just in from Luke. Dr. Fauci says the U.S. is heading out of a full-blown pandemic phase and sees the end to COVID restrictions coming in months. And I guess the question there is to what you just said. It's navigating all the information sources that are out there. So, as a general citizen, how can we better navigate what information is out there, and sometimes conflicting information?
Yeah, it's the conflicting piece that is difficult, especially because humans have a tendency to just believe the information that conforms to the beliefs they already have. Most people, when presented with one piece of data that confirms their beliefs and another piece of data that calls their beliefs into question, will find every rhetorical trick in the book to convince themselves that the piece of information they disagree with is untrustworthy, not reliable, so on and so forth. And no matter what is, and no matter what the source is for the piece of data that they do believe, no matter how unreputable it might be, they'll find a way to convince themselves that it's accurate. That's just human nature. And in COVID, that has been far more pronounced. So conflicting information in and of itself is difficult to sort out. But when so much of it is wrapped into preconceived beliefs that each of us brings to the table, very, very difficult. I don't mean to suggest that it's easy at all. The other piece is that in a rapidly moving pandemic, information will change. What we thought was correct 3 months ago may not be correct today. Now, in the minds of some who, again, have notions that they come to the table with, that mean to them, those changes signify that people who are doing science don't know what they're doing. To others, it's evidence that we're learning more every day. So it's incredibly difficult. Todd, I don't mean to suggest that I've got any answers there. I think it's important that when we go into discussions with friends, colleagues, and others, we keep an open mind and recognize that not everyone is coming at these discussions from the same place.
I appreciate that. Can you speak to, certainly COVID has its physical aspects of it too, but there are of course mental aspects to it. And as I look at the Zoom call, there's a lot of smiling faces. A lot of people that are just happy to be here, happy to hear you speak, and so on. But you never quite know what's happening behind the Zoom screen, right? And what's going on in people's lives. So you can speak to a little bit to the mental aspects of this pandemic.
Yeah, since early on, back in, going back to March of 2020, it became strikingly obvious that COVID was going to present significant mental health challenges. For those who are already grappling with behavioral health problems, concepts like isolation and quarantine are downright terrifying. And then even for those who weren't grappling with those, being separated from their family, having loved ones who were ill and not being able to visit them, all of those things eventually took a toll on every single one of us. For some, it's been something that they've been able to manage. Others have not recovered and may take a while to recover because of the prolonged isolation and disruptions that COVID brought. I think for me, what has been most eye-opening and really disturbing is the increases that we've seen with respect to substance use and deaths from things like opioids and other illicit substances. Those have been one of the effects of the pandemic that we're aware of, but I think it will not be for some time before we truly appreciate some of these implications of the pandemic, particularly as it relates to substance use and the deaths that have come from that. So, Todd, unfortunately, I have to hop off, and I know you've got big numbers to reveal to everybody, and so I don't want to take up any more of your time. But I am very, very grateful for the invitation to join all of you, and very thankful. Congratulations on the amazing effort that you put in.
And Dr. Shaw, thank you. Hopefully you saw the many accolades and the comments coming through on the chat window. What you've done for us today and what you do for the state is so much appreciated. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and all that you do. You take care.
Thank you. My pleasure. Take care, everyone.
That was phenomenal. And so happy to have Dr. Shaw join us and share his words of wisdom, and it was really, really great. So as we pivot to the next part of our program, I want to bring on Tim Brooks, our Lead Vice President of Corporate Marketing and Communications. And we arm wrestled. I lost, as I do every single year appropriately. He and Jen get to talk about all the great numbers and all the wonderful things that you do. So I'm going to turn it over to Tim and let him go through, Tim and Jen go through the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Todd. It's really hard to follow Dr. Shaw, but I'll do my best. 2021 was a great year. It was another great year for the campaign, and it's really hard to summarize and the highlights. It was just a few examples because of just all the great work that you all did during the year. Yard sales, bake sales, ATV rides, golf tournaments, cash calendars, raffles. I mean, it's just creative work all the way around, and it's terrific. So just a few highlights to go over. We, again, this year had 100% participation from all the credit unions in Maine, which is just a testament to our our deep commitment to ending hunger in the state. We provided support to 242 food organizations across the state. This includes food pantries, meal sites, and schools. In June, we did another $100,000 challenge. We raised $110,000. Money went to Good Shepherd Food Bank, local food communities, community food pantries, and meal sites. So a terrific effort again this year. In addition to that, credit unions and chapters donated over $17,000 in financial support to help local schools and Full Plates Potential feed students during the summer months. We also have joined in supporting Full Plates Full Potential with a $20,000 grant to support the John Woods Innovation Grant Program, which offers support to select school districts in 2022 that are interested in piloting innovative strategies to increase participation and access to school meals. So terrific program that Full Plates Full Potential is doing there. In August, we had our annual Ending Hunger Golf Tournament again with our silent auction. We had 34 teams participate in the golf tournament up at Belgrade Lakes Golf Club. And we had 50 auction items, more than half of which were donated by credit unions. We raised a total of $57,365 for the campaign, which is terrific. This year we are running the annual golf tournament in May again this year to coincide with the annual meeting and convention, and Jen Burke will be sharing more information about that later this month. To close out the year, we also had a Holiday Meals for Mainers initiative, which was encouraging people to give $5 during the months of November and December to help feed hungry Mainers and make the holidays a little bit brighter for our neighbors in need. In addition to giving money, people also gave their time. And so we do track volunteer hours. And this year we had nearly 14,000 hours of volunteer time reported, which comes to a value of almost $400,000. So thank you all for that. There were 5 credit unions that actually donated over $1,000. Those 5 credit unions are Community Credit Union, Gardner Federal Credit Union, Midcoast Federal Credit Union, New Dimensions Federal Credit Union, and University Credit Union. So thank you all for that. You know, your time is just as important as the money you raise. And so I'd encourage everybody to complete the CU's Share for Me forms on the league website, which can be found under the community outreach section. So before I turn it over to Jen, I want to just briefly talk about a new exciting opportunity we have with our partnership with the Portland Sea Dogs. And there are 2 games this season for which credit unions can buy purchase 100 general admission tickets for $1,100 that they can use for staff and family members and family and members. And so for $1,100 for 100 tickets, the Sea Dogs will give back $600 to the Ending Hunger campaign. And that $600 will be credited to the credit unions, the amount that they raised for 2022. Those 2 games are Thursday, June 30th at 6:00 p.m. against the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, and Sunday, August 28th at 1 p.m. against the Hartford Yard Goats, which is a name I've always liked, the Hartford Yard Goats. But so you can purchase those tickets. You can get more information about it through either by contacting Jen Burke or me after this event. And if the tickets are available, you can also purchase more than one package. So I would like to now turn it over to Jen, who is your league's public affairs and communications manager, who will share our fundraising totals. Jen and I also armed wrestled, and she actually won in terms of sharing the dollar amounts. So pass it over to Jen. But before I do, I want to give a special thank you to Jen and to Erica O'Rourke, who spent countless hours on this campaign, running the campaign, managing it, managing the counting. There have been a lot of people involved with this campaign and making it successful, but the work that Jen and Erica have done has just been spectacular, and I cannot thank them enough. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Jen.
Thank you, Tim. It's truly been a remarkable year, and I'm so pleased to be with all of you today to celebrate our shared accomplishments. So let's see how we did officially while also taking a look back at our history. Tim, you want to turn on the next slide? Our campaign total for 2021 is $930,367.80. This is an incredible number. Over $877,000 in direct funds contributed to the campaign. $13,366 worth of food was collected and donated. Credit unions contributed over $25,000 directly to our friends at Good Shepherd Food Bank, and they also contributed $39,261 directly to other hunger relief organizations across the state. It's really hard for me to say this without getting choked up because this campaign means so much to me personally, but it's clear this campaign means so much to all of you as well. So with this year's totals added to what we've raised since the campaign's inception back in 1990, I'm pleased to report that Maine credit unions have contributed over $11.3 million to end hunger in our state. So with that said, please feel free to take yourselves off mute. You all deserve a round of applause. Congratulations. This is just incredible. So now that yes, thanks, Stacy. Everyone, it's great work and everybody should feel really, really proud. So now we're going to move to the awards portion of our program. If we were together in person, I would make these announcements and invite you out to receive your plaque. Unfortunately, I can't give that to you in person today, but rest assured, I will get those plaques in the mail to you later this week so you can proudly display them at your credit union. So the way we do awards, we recognize highest dollars contributed to the campaign and highest per member contributions. We have 7 winners in each category, and I'm going to begin today by recognizing the credit union's total dollars contributed. So coming in 7th place in total dollars contributed with an amount of $28,731 is Sebasticook Valley Federal Credit Union. Congratulations. The award for 6th place in total dollars contributed is presented to Maine Savings Federal Credit Union with an amount of $29,245. 5th place in total dollars contributed with an amount of $30,044.74 goes to People's Choice Credit Union. Congratulations, Luke and your team. 4th place in total dollars contributed is presented to our friends at UCU with an amount of $35,461.01. The award for 3rd place in total dollars contributed goes to Acadia Federal Credit Union with an amount of $48,810.82. 2nd place in total dollars contributed goes to Maine State Credit Union with a remarkable amount of $84,941.63. And I am excited to announce coming in 1st place in total dollars contributed to the campaign goes to the team from Atlantic Federal Credit Union, $120,544.91. Congratulations to all of you. These are remarkable numbers. You should all be so proud. So congratulations. Next, let's recognize the 7 credit unions that raised the most per member. In 7th place and highest per member contribution at $2.52 per member is Atlantic Federal Credit Union. In 6th place at $2.60 per member is Maine State Credit Union. 5th place in highest per member contributions at $2.82 per member goes to Monmouth Federal Credit Union. Coming in at 4th in highest per member contributions is the Battis Regional Federal Credit Union at $2.87. 3rd place in highest per member contributions at $3.03 per member is Acadia Federal Credit Union. Our 2nd place winner in highest per member contributions is presented to Gardner Federal Credit Union at $4.68 per member. And last but certainly not least, coming in 1st place and highest per member contributions this year is Maine Solutions Federal Credit Union. That amount is remarkable, $9.68 per member. We would also like to take a brief moment to recognize the credit unions that took part in this campaign this year, which is every single one of you. So congratulations. Thank you so much for participating in this amazing effort. Having 100% participation is people helping people at its finest. So congratulations and thank you all, and thank you to your amazing team of employees. All credit unions will be receiving your award letter and our campaign summary document in the mail, which highlights all of the great work that you all have done. This packet's going to be sent to the attention of your credit union CEOs. Those will be going out in the next couple of days, and your credit union should be receiving them shortly. The campaign will continue to distribute quarterly statements to each credit union. Tim mentioned, we have an incredible accounting team that does an amazing job tracking all the aspects of this campaign and how much money each credit union has to distribute to organizations. So they will continue to send out quarterly statements. If you would like to change who receives those statements at your credit union, just send me an email and I'll make sure it gets mailed out to the appropriate folks. And again, I want to just give a shout out to our accounting department because they're amazing. And lastly, as you decide the organizations you would like to support this year, you can fill out a funds request form. I have a copy of it on our league website. I can also email it to you as well. It asks you which organizations you want to make a contribution to and the amount you'd like to contribute. And those can be continued to be sent to endinghunger@mainecul.org. So those are just a bit of housekeeping items. I'm going to turn it back to Todd. Before I do, I want to let everyone know that our efforts for 2022 for fundraising have already kicked off. We announced earlier this week that we are going to have a Take a Chance to End Hunger raffle for Bruins tickets. So if your credit union is interested in selling tickets at your branches, please let me know or let my colleague Lauren McCallum know. I know we have a lot of Bruins fans here in Maine, and hopefully this will be a popular item. We certainly saw some great success when we did Patriots raffle ticket sales in the fall. So I just wanted to give a plug for that, and I'm happy to help in any way. So exciting. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Todd, I will turn it back to you.
But Jen, because I want to hear it again, what was that fundraising total?
It was $930,367.80.
That is awesome. Coming from 100% of our credit unions, that is just so phenomenal. It is just a unique part of our state, of our credit union movement. I don't think that anybody else in the country can boast that level of support for any one thing, and it's just incredible all the work that you do together on this incredible effort. And I got to thank my staff. Jen, I'm looking at your face right now. I have to thank you, and I'm going to be careful not to go through all the names because I know I will forget some. But Jen and Tim, I know you guys put your heart and soul. This is not a job for you. This is what you believe in. This is what you do, and you put everything into it. And I just can't thank you enough for helping us do this great work, and for all of our credit unions, including and my team as well. I'm getting a little bit fatigued on talking about COVID all the time, but what it has shown us and continues to show us is how good we are at responding and pivoting and raising to the moment when we need it. We had to change the way that we fundraised when COVID hit, and we learned how to do it differently. And we produced better results as a result of that. So I'm looking forward to this year as we continue on with those efforts, continue to learn how to get better and better at fundraising, so we can help with this important cause. So Jen is right. Fundraising efforts are alive and well. We're already the second month in the year. And we want to continue to march towards that $1 million target that we hope that we can get to this year. And I'm confident that we can. It's going to take a whole lot of what we've done before and a whole lot of new stuff too. And I can't thank my team enough. And I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done. So once again, I want to thank Dr. Shaw for his words of wisdom and for joining us today. And finally, just one last thank you to all of you and all of your efforts. Please keep up the good work. A special thank you to Justin Strasburger, Executive Director from Full Plates, Full Potential, Ethan Minton and Krista Miale from Good Shepherd Food Bank. All the great work that you do, the partnership that we have, because again, raising money to help with this important cause is an important campaign. Helping to end it as a cause, get at the root cause of helping people not be hungry in the first place, is the larger goal. And that is what we are all shooting for. We've got some amazing things that we're working on now. Hopefully you've heard a little bit about them. Our work bringing financial education into food pantries, and there's more of that to come. And we'll need your support on all of it. And I'm confident you'll be there. We'll be working shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, and continuing forward throughout the rest of this year and long into the future. So with that, thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day, and look forward to having this meeting next year and learning what the results of all of our efforts will be a year from now. So take care, everyone. Again, enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week. Bye.